Bike prices have been climbing at a seemingly uncontrollable rate over the last few years, but things might be set to change.
Yep, we've seen entry-level models costing upwards of £7,000 or dollars, and top-end models can easily set you back double that.
Recently, however, we have seen some brands dropping prices in certain regions.
Before we chat more about this and why it might be happening, welcome to our new show on BikeRadar. Every month we're going to be taking a closer look at the biggest road, gravel and mountain bike tech stories in the cycling world and discussing what they mean for you and I.
We'll discuss the tech to watch out for as the Cobbled Classics get underway in Belgium, and there is some breaking fresh mountain bike tech news and team news.
We'll also be looking at the rise of the lightweight e-bike. Will they replace their full-fat cousins?
Tom, there's also some devastating news that you didn't need to spend the whole of the winter on the indoor trainer.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, Liam, because actually, I personally didn't.
Good for you, but if you did, you'll want to stick around to find out why it might have been a total waste of time. Now Tom, what if I told you that the bike that you've been lusting over for the last year or so has come down a bit in price? Yes, let's kick things off with some good but long-awaited news that bike prices are being lowered by certain brands.
Yes, so Canyon, for example, has lowered the price of the majority of its unassisted and electric bikes. The Aeroad Ultimate Grail and Spectral are now up to £400 cheaper than they previously were on the Canyon website. I know, crazy.
They're not the only ones at it. Specialized is lowering prices for customers in Canada. Surely this is a good thing. We see all of your comments when a bike is released. And we would absolutely agree that prices are seemingly becoming quite silly. But let's crunch the numbers on just how much prices have actually risen over the last few years.
According to the Bicycle Association, that's the national trade body for the UK cycling industry, the price of a bike with the same or similar spec has increased quite widely, from around 10% to over 40%, depending on the discipline and other factors between 2019 and 2022.
That is quite a hike. In the US, a 2021 Bloomberg report said the average amount paid for a bike had risen 27% from the start of the year to March.
Brexit and the long tail effects of the pandemic were to blame for initial price hikes. Wow, that seems like a very, very long time ago now. But new factors have pushed up average bike prices over the period covered by the Bicycle Association's data. And without getting too deep into it, here in the UK we've seen a general increase in the cost of living as well due to a rise in inflation. This plus a steep rise in energy costs, and it's not surprising to see these big hikes. So how are they going to come down?
Well, while it would be foolish to suggest everything is rosy on the geopolitical front, 2023 is, on the face of it, shaping up to be a slightly less turbulent year for the cycling industry. So it is possible this relative stabilisation has led to the reduction in prices. I would, however, consider one alternative scenario. Are sales just falling? The lowering of some prices could simply hint at an imminent sell-off of excess stock, as has been predicted by some in the industry. So, are sales dropping and have the brands started to panic?
We want your say on this contentious topic. If bike prices come down, would you be more tempted to buy a new bike? Or would you save a little bit and get yourself the same bike that you would have done previously?
There's a poll popping up in the top corner, so go and vote. On to tech news now, and it is very nearly time for the proper start of the road race season. Tom, as a mountain biker, this traditionally happens at a very cold Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, or Omloop Het Volk as it was known back in the day.
That is a bit of a tongue twister.
It is.
But you really have been buzzing about this for weeks already.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait. One, because the racing is amazing, but two, we get to have a good look at the tech that the teams will be using for the rest of the season.
There's also the UAE Tour for some serious crosswind action. So what are you going to be looking for in these early races?
Well, at the UAE Tour, we'll get a mix of some seriously saucy aero bikes. A lot of the desert is flat, obviously, and with the crosswinds, the racing is very fast. Look out for some very deep wheels and aero trickery.
So Liam, what should we be looking out for at Omloop?
Well, tubeless tyres will probably be more popular again this year. I'll also be looking for modifications made to Shimano's 12-speed group sets to aid chain retention, as well as a few other things, as there were a few drop chains on the cobbles last year. Jumbo Visma are on SRAM after switching from Shimano over the winter. They've also got new wheels, so hopefully no more smashed hoops for them.
Crikey, that's a lot of stuff to look out for though.
Yeah, that's definitely why I'm always watching bike racing while I'm at my desk. The point, though, is that the tech that we see in races will eventually filter down to bikes at our level. And as the pros are limited to their sponsor products, I want to know whether you think that their equipment choices should be followed by us mere mortals. Let me know in the comments below.
Time for some mountain bike team and tech news from BMC.
This is the bike of Mr. Pidcock, I believe.
Yep, that's right. Tom has spent the last few years on an unbranded BMC 4-stroke, so perhaps we'll see Pinarello developing their own cross-country race bike in the future.
Do you think he gets tired of switching between disciplines all the time? I mean, the guy does road racing, cyclocross, and mountain biking. Maybe even this year he'll throw in gravel.
I mean, yeah, he is a very, very busy boy, that's for sure. But anyway, the real news is that BMC have launched an all-new race team for the coming season, featuring Jordan Sarrou and Titouan Corrod. But the interesting thing is that they're on Öhlins suspension, not Fox or RockShox.
Now, my mountain bike knowledge is limited, but I didn't think they made a cross-country fork or a shock.
No, currently they don't, but the team launch photos already we can see some cool prototypes that the team will be racing on. The forks look slimmer than the RFX 34 M2 downcountry fork that our technical writer Luke tested last year, and the shock looks absolutely tiny compared to the current STX 22 air shock. So they're already quite far along with the development of these already.
Interestingly, I can't actually see any remote cable lockouts on that bike.
No, I can't either from looking over it quite closely, and it looks like a manual lockout at the moment as well, which is quite odd for a cross-country race bike. It'll be interesting to see what they'll actually be racing once the season kicks off in Novo Mesto.
Yeah, absolutely looking forward to that one and to seeing who is really hitting their form from the start of the season. But the lack of a remote lockout is weird. Maybe they'll go for something electronic, like live valve or flight attendant.
Yeah, quite possibly. So, I mean, we've seen Öhlins working with Loic Bruni and the Specialized team on what we all think is an electronic damping adjustment. They've been testing it for a couple of years now on the World Cup downhill circuit. It's been hidden under that crazy carbon fiber cover on his demo race bike. So who knows whether they'll actually bring that technology over to the world of cross-country racing, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see how it develops.
Lots of wireless kit on the scene already with SRAM's access to. Pretty much all the group sets are of the wireless variety in the Pro Road peloton, and we know that they're robust because cyclocross racers use them without issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Electronics are already a big part of cross-country racing, so we wouldn't be at all surprised to see more of it. A wireless system that adapts to the terrain would be a big bonus in a racing situation, and Öhlins knows a thing or two about that from their motorsport heritage. What do you think? Will we finally see what the fuss has been all about at Öhlins? XC is a great testing ground for new tech. The courses are getting rougher and rougher and the bikes are getting ever more capable. So will we see more brands like Öhlins who have shied away from developing XC tech in the past get involved in this tough arena? Let us know in the comments, we'd love to know what you think. Sorry Liam, we've got time for one last little bit of quick mountain bike tech now, and it appears that the dawn of the lightweight e-mountain bike is here.
Aren't all e-bikes heavy though?
Yep, a lot of them are, and these lightweight e-mountain bikes make my inner weight really cry a little bit, even though they are a lot lighter than their full fat cousins. Some of the standout bikes I've seen in this area are the new Trek Fuel EXE that they recently launched, Scott have released the Lumin, and Transition have given us a sneak peek of the new Relay, which looks really, really nice.
I have to say, you'd struggle to know whether they are electric bikes at a glance.
Yeah, absolutely. The frames look very, very tidy indeed with the smaller motors and down tubes to go with them. But is this wave of lightweight e-mountain bikes going to be the future? They're not that much heavier than a regular bike, and some, like that Transition that we've just mentioned, can even be run with the motor disconnected and the battery removed. So they even ride like a regular bike.
I guess that kind of makes sense. You can get two bikes in one, effectively.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting concept, and maybe we'll go some way to alleviating some of the stigma surrounding e-bikes, because it's always a controversial topic. But the big question is whether lightweight e-mountain bikes are going to take over from their full-fat cousins, or are they going to complement them instead? Personally, I think they'll complement them in the long run. I really don't see full-fat e-mountain bikes going the way of plus-size tyres and all but disappearing. I think they'll be sticking around for a little while yet. But let us know what you think in the comments.
Next up, Tom, we've got a very interesting take from one cycling coach. His name is Jacob Tipper. He is very, very good rider himself. And he says that you might have wasted your winter training indoors.
Interesting one.
Should we go and hear what he's got to say?
I definitely think we should.
Yes,
yeah.
I need to hear this. Jacob, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, like my main criticism for, not for using the device, but for using it for all winter, is that I think ultimately a lot of people do forget that cycling has still got this very large skill element to it. It's really not as simple as how, what wattages can you just munch while sat bolt upright on a turbo. Physiologically, in terms of creating the stimulus, then yes, the turbo is, it's 95% of the way there. If what you can do on a fixed position and a fixed orientation, that doesn't mean you can then translate that power to throwing it about on a bike at 60k an hour, which is obviously how you win a sprint. But this element of skill, it comes into everything. It comes into how well you ride the wheel. It comes out how comfortable you are on your bike, how well you ride in the group, and ultimately I think the turbo just misses that.
A very well-balanced take from Jacob there. So come on, Liam, where do you stand on indoor training?
Well, I have used it a lot in the past, but I'm only keen on it for training around work. These days I ride an hour each way on the commute, so I get to the weekend, and I'm very keen to get the social element of the club run. How about you, mate?
As a mountain biker, I have dabbled with indoor training in the past, but I have to admit, even in the depths of winter, I'd much rather be out on the bike. I personally haven't tried it, but RGT has an interesting thing called Magic Road that lets you upload a GPX file so you can ride the trails virtually. Sounds great in practice, but it is so annoying when these get uploaded to Strava and you see that all the segments have been smashed on a trainer. So I'm on the fence. I do like the idea and I get the point of it, but it won't replace a good old muddy ride in the woods for me.
Well, if you are in the market for a new indoor trainer, we've got a brilliant video where we compare two of the very best entry-level direct drive smart trainers. Go and check it out.
So plenty of new tech to digest there, and we've got time for a little bit of any other business as well. Liam, what's coming up on the channel in the next couple of weeks?
Oh, so much good stuff. Robin has been out in the Canary Islands. She's got a Gravel Diaries video coming very, very soon.
Liam, I also heard you took a trek over to Silverstone to test yourself and your bike out in a wind tunnel.
Yes, very windy there, funnily enough. We were testing the best bang for your buck, so how many watts you save for how much money you've spent, basically. So that video is going to be absolutely brilliant. Definitely check that out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, make sure you hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when those videos get uploaded.
Speaking of which, like this video and subscribe while you're there, and we will see you in the next one.